Welcome, my friends, to the stream today, guys. It's going to be another practice stream. So we did, of course, have one last week, and essentially it's an opportunity for players to try some out-of-the-box builds in the tournament format. So basically, there's going to be 4 best of 3s today. Each of them is going to be using the pick and ban system and standard tournament rules that are used in my Discord community. And that's going to be it. So welcome to the stream, guys. You guys want the screen blocker cast? I know it's become a bit of a trademark here for the channel. And perhaps we will. So currently, in our first match, it's going to be ODM Chosen One facing off against Zeblasky in our first best of 3. So the picks and bans are underway. Chosen One has picked Tomb Kings, banning High Elves and Dwarves, and Zeblasky has counterpicked here with the Empire. So we'll see how that goes. Empire certainly has some pretty good teeth here. They have some nice units that are quite effective against the Tomb Kings constructs. Karl Franz, of course, can come in with his hammer and do some work. And of course, who doesn't like watching the Sons of Sigmar do glorious battle at Castle Drakenhof? All right, guys, just checking some settings on the stream here real quick. Just started your 40K battle report. Looks awesome. Thanks for putting in the time and effort. Yeah, it does take a while to do those. So we played that game after, that was a really long game. Like the 40K battle report we played went to like the end of turn 6. And I'm telling you, it's really down to the wire. You're really going to enjoy it. But yeah, it took us about like 4.5, 5 hours to shoot it because we have to like take breaks and like recharge the camera equipment here and there and things like that. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the battle report. I'm going to be trying to do one a week. That's kind of my game plan for 40K battle reports. And of course, Total War Warhammer will always be the bread and butter here until the stars die out. But yeah, going to be doing some 40K content in the channel. I'm thinking about doing a basics video, just teaching you guys how to play the game on a very fundamental level, not like advanced tactics, but I think that'd be nice for people here. And yeah, we'll do it to it. All right. So they're still doing their picks and bans. I'll let them know they can start when ready. Start when ready. Zeblasky says, I kind of felt that you picked Tomb Kings for some reason. And then Chosen One says, I expected Dark Elves or Empire. So it seems like these two players have played before. Perhaps a little bit of a history between them. Always a good sign. And as far as our other matches for the day goes, let's go ahead and pull it up. So we have Chosen One versus Zeblasky. We have Hadries against Subutai of Clan Goat. We have Bilbo Bagos versus Baron Von Horn. And then Stormrunner versus Jungleman. So we have a mixture of seasoned tournament veterans as well as some newer players, it looks like. So very excited to see the different skill levels, different builds, and also we'll be doing our best to give feedback and all that sort of good stuff. So if I play Warhammer 40K at a tournament, for example, the games usually take 2.5 hours because tournament players are very quick. But for the most part, like if you have 2 casual players playing or newer players, it could be like 3 to 4 hours for a game, depending on what armies they're playing and a bunch of different variables. But yeah, I mean, like a lot of battles I play are decided by like the 3rd or 4th turn. But this one versus the Custodes literally goes down to the very last dice roll. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. But yeah, I'm really excited to do it. I mean, hopefully people on the channel enjoy it and it can pull in some folks who want to watch some 40K, but we'll see how it goes. I just started to practice them, so don't expect too much. So Zeblasky and ODM Chosen One saying that they're practicing some new stuff here, which is good. That is the purpose of the stream. You guys get to see the evolving meta and some dynamic gameplay, hopefully. So Zeblasky is ready. Currently, we're waiting on Chosen One here to make his picks. And since I'm in spectator mode, I don't actually have to use a screen blocker. So alas, there's not going to be any drama there. But yeah, like for example, if you had a battle report that went to like turn 3 or 4 and it was basically more or less over, that video could only be like an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half after I'm all done with editing and things like that. Because we edit out a couple things in 40K battle reports, like for example, the movement phase, basically you just like, they move and then I just summarize where everything moved because you don't want to watch someone sitting there with a tape measure for 10 minutes moving all the little pieces in their army. So, I mean, maybe you do, but most people I think just want to get to the business and the combat and shooting and all that. Zeblasky's ready. Chosen One making the final tweaks to his army here at Castle Drakenhof. A decent map for both players, a fair amount of open field, but also some ample line of sight blocking if they want to hide from bone giants or cannons or any number of other threats. So we'll see how this goes. Thank you guys so much for joining today. It's kind of out of the blue stream. I just, I was in the mood. Felt like having some fun with you guys. So picks and bans go in tournament. So here's how it goes, Christina. Essentially, depending on the rules of the tournament, it'll say someone on the left side of the lobby will start. It doesn't really matter who starts, or the person on the top side of the bracket. If you're using like a bracketed tournament, we'll start with picks and bans. So basically, you have 2 players on the lobby. One of them will begin with a pick and ban, so they get to pick the faction they want to play, and then they get to ban 2 factions in a best of 3. So basically, you can pick the faction you like, and the matchups you're not comfortable with or that you feel are counter picks, you can then ban those, so you won't have to play against them. And then once your 2 bans are done, your opponent can then pick the faction that they would like to play against your chosen faction. And after that, it alternates, so the other player does the exact same thing in game 2. And if it does go to game 3, what ends up happening is both players ban only a single faction, and then they both pick a faction. There's a sequence for that, but it's usually in the tournament rules and all that kind of good stuff. So So yeah, we're on Castle Drakenhof here on our first map. Best of 3 here between these two fine gentlemen. Thank them for joining today. I know it was short notice, but it's good to be here, guys. It's good to be here indeed. Going to be planning some more 40k bat rep stuff coming up, like I said. Just firing up the stream on my phone. And here we go. And it looks good. Wow, no drama. All is well in the hood. Yeah, I'm quite eager to see how the 40k content will do on the channel. There's a bit of crossover with like Total War fans, especially Total War Warhammer, because obviously a lot of people play 40k. But, you know, it's not the same as everyone who plays or is interested in Total War Warhammer. All right, so stream, come on phone, you can do it. I believe in you. It's trying its heart out. It's trying its heart out indeed. And now, just because I'm extra paranoid, I'm going to be minimizing to double check the stream to make sure there's no screen blockers up. And we're good. We are good. All right, so for the armies here of Chosen One, he has 3 groups of the Skeleton Horseman Archers. Up in the sky, a couple of groups of Carrion, which are pretty standard for just causing disruption amongst the Empire. You can use them to rear charge things and apply penalties, go after gunline units, go after cannons, tar pit Karl Franz type characters, or Boris in this case. And yeah, pretty good choice. A couple of groups of Skeleton Archers from Chosen One just to deal with Pistoliers and Outriders because they can outrange them and they're pretty cost effective in combat against those units. So it's going to be 3 groups of the Skeleton Archers. Front line is going to be Tomb Guard, so pretty elite in the front line. Looks like a couple Tomb Guard at the very least. I think 3 of those bad boys. Skeleton Spears and Skeleton Warriors to buffer out the formation. And to deal with his anti-large problems, he has 2 Tomb Princes. So the Tomb Princes here are quite powerful against large threats. Plus they also have a Rampage curse. So basically if they get brought down below 50%, they rampage their target with an activated ability, which is really, really strong. So 2 Tomb Princes, and it looks like they both do have the, so we have the Blade of Setep here, and then the other one does not. Okay, so one of the Tomb Princes is very geared out, and the other one is just basically just bare bones. Ark of the Black with Spirit Leech and Buna. Buna very, very good against the Empire Heavy Cav, and Spirit Leech good against the Big Flying Lords. Now look at this, Chosen One going to be using the natural terrain here, and he does also have these Screaming Skull catapults to shoot at gun units, and other things like that. So very, very cool stuff. I definitely like this from Chosen One. Now for the forces of Zeblasky, let's go ahead and take a look here. Zeblasky, of course, I think he said he was practicing with Empire, or one of them was practicing with their factions, or was relatively new to that faction, but nonetheless, he has great swords in the front. Interesting. So great swords against Tomb Kings, not something you see often, because great swords are quite weak, and sorry about the notifications. Curse the Baggins. One sec here, guys. I should be able to pull up the stream here. Where art thou? Ah, you know what? I could just check all that after the fact. So one sec here, guys. Just going to power off the phone. No drama. So great swords here. Great swords, of course, will do very well against like Tomb Guards and Skeletons, but they're notoriously weak against things like Tomb Scorpions and Khemrian War Sphinxes. So it's a bit of a risky pick. However, if he doesn't expect constructs from his opponent, they're going to be very good against like, you know, an army of basically Tomb Guard and things like that. On top of that, Silver Bullets and Handgunners. So he does actually have quad Handgunners. Interesting choice. They will be able to, you know, skirmish against the Horseman Archers here. 145 range against 140 on those guys. Spearmen in the back, and it looks like some Cav as well. Empire Knights, and a Light Wizard with the Baroness Time Warp. Okay, so this is kind of like when you guys see Falcon play Lizards a lot. He really likes to use the Baroness Time Warp to buff up his Temple Guard in the front line and really get a lot more value because of the melee attack buff. But in this case, he's going to be using Baroness Time Warp and Frost Protection to make his greatswords that much stronger. However, the battle's underway. Screaming Meme Catapult getting a lot of damage here against the Handgunners right out of the gates. Man, look at that. Handgunners do take 6 casualties, and the Screaming Meme Catapults have only just begun going right through that tree. They do not care for that tree at all. And they're not the most accurate. Pretty much every single shot there lands right in front and misses with the Handgunners entirely. In the back, there is a Vanguard here from the Tomb Kings. They do, of course, have some Carrion lurking in the shadows. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how these greatswords will do, actually, with the Baroness Time Warp buff, and if they're going to be able to punch through the front line of Tomb Guard very, very quickly. But Ark in the Black, of course, could drop some Fated Bunas on top of the greatswords, which is probably what he'll do. Rather, instead of doing that, though, he actually opts to do a Spirit Leech on Boris. Boris is also basically just wasting the firepower of the Skeleton Horseman Archers, trying to keep them from shooting the more sensitive targets. Screaming Meme Catapult still shooting in, not getting too much value after their first volley, but it looks like they've switched onto a couple different targets. There you go. Nice contact right there against the Handgunners. And this is a classic Tomb Kings play. Basically, you use Ark in the Black, and you drop some skeletons right in front of your opponent's advance. And from there, it's going to kind of tarp at them, and their forces will stagger. It's not going to be as even of an engagement. You basically see these greatswords here are tar pitted now on the skeletons while the other troops will advance, and it kind of becomes a more messy engagement here for the forces of the Empire. However, the Handgunners are now shooting in and just absolutely wasting these Skeleton Horseman Archers. Boris Todbringer did go in for the kill, was able to get some decent damage on Ark in the Black, and it looks like, oh no, this is really not good here. So Nedev Amnitok has gone down in Ark in the Black, and all of these handgunners are unleashing fire, but it looks like Toddy is actually getting in the way, and a little bit of friendly fire is coming in. Just leave him be, let the handgunner shoot. So Toddy falls back after getting lanced by a Tomb Prince, and there probably will be one more volley on Ark in the Black here. Oh man, I feel like Toddy actually screened for Arkin and took a lot of that damage on his own, which is pretty unfortunate. But nonetheless, Toddy can heal. Arkin cannot, really. So the firepower going into Arkin is certainly going to be doing some work. However, the Screaming Beam catapults have finished off some handgunners here, at which point Chosen One is going to be grabbing his carrion and basically just chasing them off the battlefield, which is a really, really good play. But down in the front, Greatswords have engaged here against Skeleton Warriors. For the most part, Carrion here have engaged on the handgunners, but they have been taken out by the Empire Knights. And the Greatswords have pushed through, some of them doing pretty good work against Skeletons, but it looks like the Tomb Guard really haven't even been sentenced into combat quite yet. I think they're all in reserves, kind of hanging out in the back here. You can see we have some spears and all sorts of troops. So as far as the balance of power goes, it's pretty even at this point. Empire will eventually punch through the front line. Two groups of handgunners have been a little bit beat up, and oh, look at that. Toddy was actually able to fend off the Carrion, and honestly, I probably would have kept the Carrion on top of those guys. It's going to take Toddy quite some time to finish off a full health group of Carrion, so I don't know if I agree with that. But nonetheless, catapult shoot again into the Silver Bullets and these other handgunner units. Very, very good play here from both players so far. I really like the handgunner trap from Zeblasky. And also on that same note, Chosen One has been doing a really good job with his Screaming Beam catapults. And what I really like about Chosen One's play is how he's layering his forces. He's basically just kind of sending in the chaff and then eventually sending the elite troops against the more beat up Empire forces. So here we have a net coming down on top of the Tomb Prince, but it looks like Empire Knight's going to be charging in. A little bit of a precarious situation, although they're just kind of parked out here waiting. And man, those Screaming Beam catapults are destroying the handgunner core of Zeblasky. If you look in the back, those guys are really getting put in the can. However, on that same note, we do have Toddy coming in for the kill once again, able to get Ark in the Black down to a very, very low amount of health. I mean, he is in the danger zone, the bone zone, as we should say for him. And Toddy might just go for the kill. Ushapti summon being used here. Is Toddy going to be able to get away? If it gets caught somehow and that Tomb Prince and Arkin get to 2v1 him, that could be very bad. Faucet protection going down to give Boris Todbringer a little bit more punch. Handgunner core pretty much all put offline. Handgunners back here being chased off. The other one in the far distance are being chased by the Carrion. So far, a very, very fierce back and forth. And really, this battle hasn't gone past the middle. It's like just dead even for both players. So Toddy flying overhead, thinking about probably trying to snipe Arkin once again, but I think Chosen One is very privy to this, and he's probably going to be leaving the Tomb Prince relatively nearby. But if he abandons Arkin for even a second, I would imagine that Zeblasky probably will grab Boris Todbringer and go after Ark in the Black, but hard to say. Right here, we have a Greatsword. Greatsword's chewing into the Tomb Guard. I think these are Tomb Guard here. It's a little bit hard to tell. Yes, Tomb Guard. Greatswords should win that engagement, especially with the big old juicy Empire Cav charge coming in to hammer right through the formation. Beautiful couched lances right into the lightly armored Tomb Guard. Certainly cannot complain about that. Now Toddy's going in once again, trying to finish off Ark in the Black. It looks like he does get a little bit of damage, and the Screaming Skull catapult's shooting as well. But Toddy is getting countercharged here by the Tomb Prince. Tomb Prince is very, very good against Boris. They have that anti-large. Is he going to be able to get back up in the sky? Hard to say. He does have Foe Seeker active, and Foe Seeker is probably going to allow him to get away there. Otherwise, I think he would have been caught. Balance is still dead even, and Toddy still has a fair amount of room until his health cap, so he has some healing that he can still do. Probably at about 1300. Could probably get back up to about 2600 HP if he's very, very patient. Handgunners in the far distance are shattered off. Here we have Chosen One using his bird, so the bird's being used very, very well to go after those handgunners. We have a couple of groups of very tattered gun units right here, but the Screaming Skull catapults have been invaluable this game. I mean, without those Empire handgunners would have really, really just been devastating against a lot of these Tomb King's targets. Boris going in again, going in to finish off Ark in the Black, and Ark in the Black is down for the count, and Toddy does not take the charge. The Empire Knights are able to screen out that Tomb Prince, and honestly, that could be a game-winning play right there. The fact that Toddy lived, Ark in the Black's dead. There's still a fair amount of Empire, troops left. I guess we have Spearmen here. We have Spearmen. We have handgunners in the back, which of course are basically just shooting into these Tomb Guard. And oh no, Zeblasky actually lost his Light Wizard. Very, very dangerous stuff. Balance of Power is actually Tomb King favored. However, there are some Empire Knights, and there's not too many ways to punish the Empire Knights in this army, I suppose. So the Empire Knights might be able to get back here and shut down some of the catapults. We will see. But Toddy certainly needs to put this game on his back. So at this point, it looks like Boris is going to be coming back here, trying to finish off some Carrion to try and re-secure the Empire gun line. However, Chosen One is doing a very good job here with his Tomb Guard, marching forward with the inexorable advance of those undead boys, and pushing back these Empire State troops as well as these handgunners. So if we take a big old look at the battlefield, Light Wizard is back here for Zeblasky. Balance of Power is in the favor of the Tomb Kings. Catapults here still shooting. I don't know what they're shooting at right now, but it looks like they're firing, reloading, and firing. Probably going to be shooting into spears and more bunched up units. But those Empire Knights need to get back here. It doesn't seem like there's too much defending the catapults. Like if the Empire Knights took a big kind of circuitous route right here, went around these spears, they could just collapse both of these catapults, which would probably spell the doom here for the Tomb Kings, because they are, of course, that's a lot of the money in the Tomb Kings army is in these catapults. Probably 1,400 or 1,600. I can't quite remember the cost off the top of my head. Anyways, Greatswords coming back in, Empire Knights coming back in. The catapults still do have good AP values, so if they are to shoot into some of the Greatswords as well as the Empire Knights, it can be devastating. And I think at this point you see that Chosen One does know that if he basically lets his catapults go down, he's probably going to lose the game. So he is going to be pulling back his spears and his Tomb Prince. And it looks like Toddy's going to be going in, attacking one of the catapults here, getting some decent damage. But Toddy needs to do everything in his power to try and avoid this Tomb Prince until he can get the ideal jump. If they just fight fisticuffs here, Toddy might win, but he's going to take a lot of damage. And there's the charge. That's not good here for the forces of the Empire. That's a big charge right there. The Light Wizards fighting as well. Empire Knights do charge into some spears that were able to intercept their angle here, so they're going to be pulling back now. I would imagine Zeblasky will come back and over the top. A really good play by Chosen One, staying calm here, able to get his spears back in formation, so now he has the front fully covered here. The flank is going to be covered, and the catapults can pretty much shoot to their heart's content, while the Empire is basically going to have to methodically try and pick them apart and get those good engagements. I think maybe just getting Toddy and trying to goon the Tomb Prince might be good, but man, that is a risky land for Toddy. Big mistake by Zeblasky there. I think here we're going to have a Tomb Prince who's going to be able to get, maybe 1 or 2 free attacks. False protection is used, but I mean, maybe he just goes fisticuffs now and tries to fight the Tomb Prince. Yeah, that's another 300 damage. I mean, everything counts. This game is literally just down to the wire. Now, the catapults are running a little bit low on ammo, and another variable is that the Empire does have a big resurgence of troops coming back here. So we have Greatswords, we have some Spearmen. The Empire Knights here are pretty much pushed off. There is another group of Empire Knights in the back. And yeah, the catapult's pretty much just blowing their full load here. We have 1 shot left on these guys. We have 5 here. But Toddy needs to be very conservative. Just use him, stay away from the Tomb Prince, fight wherever you can without having to get attacked by this Prince. So right now he needs to pull back and through and just get away from this guy. And eventually the Tomb Prince could be just tar pitted down. But another mistake here, leaving Boris in combat for far too long. And now he's going to get charged. He's going to take perhaps a bit of damage here, 1,300. And he does get away just narrowly. I mean, that was very close. Pretty lucky for sure. The Tomb Prince was on the charge there and potentially could have done some good damage. Catapult's able to fend off the Greatswords and the Spearmen on the approach. The Empire Cav charging in, but Chosen One with a very nice screen here is able to block him up with the Spearmen, who were not braced, but still they are able to block the charge there, which is better than having another target take that damage. Toddy going to be jumping over here, attacking these Tomb Guard, and most likely doing some good damage here. These Tomb Guard are going to be, critical binding. They're fighting Spearmen, but there's a lot of Spearmen, and of course Toddy is, does he have Blood Roar on that thing? I can't remember if he does. I think Karl Franz does have it, but I don't think Boris Todbringer does. I guess Deathclaw is a little bit scarier. Anyways, right here, the Light Wizard is forced back for Zeblasky. Empire troops are kind of buckling everywhere. Todbringer is able to kind of secure his position here, but it's really going to come down to, is Boris Todbringer going to get a really lucky, good engagement against his Tomb Prince? I don't know, hard to say. Empire Knights here falling back. Really, really good battlefield control from Chosen One. He's doing such a good job just defending these catapults and falling back. There was an opening for Zeblasky a little bit earlier, but it was closed rather quickly here by Chosen One. And the Empire Knights with a very awkward charge. It looks like they charged in and then just got a little bit stuck up. It was a very, very strange situation. But pretty much all the Empire forces are running at this point. The Light Wizard is back in the far distance. It looks like some silver bullets did come back for a moment. And some Empire troops are rallying. There might be a chance to kind of gather those guys, but it's hard to say. So Zeblasky here going to be charging in, most likely just going for the Tomb Prince. Maybe? How much HP? 1,200 against 2.4. That's a tall order for sure. And Boris is also at his healing cap. And the Screaming Meme Catapult's actually doing some decent damage there against the Empire Knights. So Toddy comes in, goes after the Tomb Guard. Tomb Prince is on the chase here. And these Tomb Guard are crumbling. Negative 18 might actually go down from crumbling, as will these spears. He's back up in the sky, and Zeblasky now has some great swords marching back into battle. He has another group here that he can probably rally. And it looks like they just shatter instantly. They've probably broken a couple times, and they're just so damaged at this point. So those guys are going to be shattering. So yeah, Zeblasky's basically only hope, I think, is to try and goon out the Tomb Prince. But even still, I think there's too many spears online for him to kind of deal with this. But he's going to go for it here. He's putting all the marbles in. He gets a really nice charge. Actually does about 300-400 damage there to that Tomb Prince. And it looks like there was some magic cast, Frost Protection cast here on Boris Todbringer, as he probably is going to be going for battle against the Tomb Prince. The Light Wizard gets in there, Toddy gets in there, another big blow. Tomb Prince is in the danger zone, guys, and the Empire is pulling ahead in the bounce of power, but nice curse. So here is the curse from the Tomb Prince. It is the curse of the Jap. So it lowers melee attack, it rampages them, which means now all these very, sensitive Empire units are rampaging into spears. And on top of that, Chosen One is going to be able to countercharge with the Tomb Prince into Boris, who's just going to attack random targets. So now Boris isn't going to be necessarily attacking the right target. And the Light Wizard is down for the count. And look at that. The Tomb Kings are clawing this game back. And Boris Todbringer is on the ropes. That rampage was extremely clutch. There are some spears coming back, but Toddy is going to be breaking. And that will most likely be game one in this practice stream between Chosen One And Zeblasky going to Chosen One and his Tomb Kings. Man, that was a fierce battle. Talk about a real just cockfight for the first game here of the stream. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Well played to those two players. Let's go ahead and update the scorecards here. And it's going to be Chosen One here in this best of 3, going up 1-0. And remember, guys, today's stream is basically just for players to practice for tournaments and whatnot. So if they're looking to, just get a little bit of tournament-style gameplay outside of a tournament, so they don't have to commit, 6 hours, it's a place to do it. Tomb. 296 kills on those catapults, he says. Stallion Tomb. Go, go. Alrighty. And here we go. The gods have abandoned the Empire in that battle indeed. Thank you guys so much for joining today. It's a pleasure as always. More streams to come. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we have an ECL stream. So tomorrow we have the last qualifier for the ECL, which will be starting sometime around 11 a.m., noon, 1 p.m. at the latest, depending on how long the tournament goes and how many people sign up. So tomorrow we do have the ECL stream to see who will be the final qualifier in our 8-man grand finals. Very excited for that. Very excited indeed. So just pulling this up here. Everything looks good to go. Yeah, the Tomb Prince was pretty boss. Yeah, the catapults were quite solid. So Zeblasky is going to pick... he's going to pick Wood Elves, it looks like. And then the bands, we'll find out here in just a moment. And he banned Skaven, and he's thinking about the second ban. I'm going to close the blinds in my room because there's a blinding light, a searing light shining into my room. And now I'm literally in a dungeon, which is always fun. But at least I can see the screen. Matt says, excited to watch the bat rep. Yeah, hopefully you enjoy it, Matt. Jonah 11, thank you, man. I appreciate it. How do you find the power to run all these ECLs? It's my full-time job, so I just treat it like a, more or less like a job. Of course, a job with flexible hours, but yeah, that's pretty much it, man. It's pretty cool. I have a lot of fun doing it. It is a little bit tiring at times, but in a good way. The purest boy on YouTube. Oh my goodness. All right, so he's banning Skaven and Chaos. Chaos, of course, pretty good at swarming down those elves. And now we have a pick from Chosen One. Chosen One! You guys remember Kung Pao? So Chosen One is picking Bretonnia. Now, he is saying that he's not great at Bretonnia, but he wants to practice them. So he's going to be playing Zeblasky's main race of Wood Elves. And I would imagine that Zeblasky probably will go for a Tree Man build right now and just kind of camp in the trees. It's really good against Bretonnia. But again, Bretonnia can do stuff about it. If Chosen One brought 4 trebuchets, he might be able to hammer it down, which would be quite hilarious. Do you think the Empire should have brought some kind of artillery? Maybe. I thought his build was decent, for sure. I think I'm not a huge fan of greatswords in that matchup. I saw the school of thought, but yeah. I don't know. I'm not a fan of greatswords. I feel like the money could have been better spent elsewhere, with some other harassing elements and maybe some more cav units. And yeah, hard to say. Hard to say indeed. Hey, Garland Green. Thank you for the $30 donation, dude. He says, love the 40K game, and as always, your streams are amazing. Keep them coming. I will. Thank you so much for the very generous donation. And I'm going to be filming another 40K battle report probably on Monday or Tuesday, and then it'll go up on Wednesday. So I'm going to be trying to have one every single week. And eventually, I will do some, basics on how to play, and so you guys can follow the game a little bit easier for a lot of folks who aren't into it. Yeah, I don't know who to play. Next game, I'm probably going to be playing my Emperor's Children. So yeah, I'm going to be playing my Emperor's Children army, which is pretty solid. I think it's pretty fun. So we'll see how that goes, of course. And eventually, when the Death Guard do get their Psychic Awakening, I will do some pure Death Guard games. Yeah, I think we're going to see some trees. Simba, no, I'm the Chosen One. Hey, Garland, thank you so much, man. Hopefully you're enjoying the box that Lady Turin sent out. She's actually home from work today, which is great. Yeah, Lich 109, I do agree. I think that if you're expecting elf players to go for a box, bringing a couple trebuchets, because they're really cheap, just bring 3 of them and, just a bunch of cav units, and then you're in good shape. I actually do like Battle Pilgrims too, but yeah, the tree Death Stars are pretty annoying to deal with, but Lewin can be quite helpful for that. Sword of Corone, getting in there, buttering up their armor, and then shooting them with mass peasant archers can be pretty good. So, I mean, there's a number of ways Bretonnia can play this. It's actually one of the matchups which many people feel isn't bad for Bretonnia. Bretonnia has a lot of bad matchups, and honestly, I feel like the Wood Elf one is a decent one for them. Poor Bretonnia. They try. There are specialist players for Bretonnia, but like it's literally like it feels impossible to win with Bretonnia against Lizardmen sometimes. It's just like it's like such a wretched matchup. So players are loading in here, guys. All is good. Great, Garland. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that indeed. Yeah, I hear you, man. Unfortunately, I can't read your name, but the comment says when I saw the 40K replay, you thought what language it was. I don't know how to read that, but yeah, no, it's a whole different beast. Yeah, Garland, I imagine so. Just came here from the Bat Rap, and it was awesome. Out of curiosity, which army that would you? Which is the army that you would be least likely to start collecting? Probably Space Brains. Yeah, I don't like the Loyalist Space Brains, not because like I think they're cool, but I like to play kind of like not off meta stuff, but yeah, I don't know. Space Brains are really overpowered right now too, and it's not fun to go in and like Iron Hands are just disgustingly overpowered. Raven Guard are pretty scary too, but like I don't know. It's not fun to like show up and play with someone and then just have like an army that's just like naturally way better than theirs. Like it's just so I wouldn't want to play that, and yeah, I don't know if they'll ever get nerfed. Anyways, Iron Hands probably will. So for Chosen One, he's going to be going for triple Pegasus Knight, 3 of those, King Lewin with Sword of Corone. So basically what you can do is you can go into Sword of Corone, you can lower their armor, and then the Pegasus Knights are much better at killing some of the larger threats. On top of that, we got Peasant Mobs, we got Spearmen, we have a couple of groups of Men-at-Arms, we have a Grail piece here to buff the leadership of these troops on the ground, 3 groups of Peasant Archers, and for the Cav, we have Knights Errant and Knights Errant here, and on the far side, we do also have some Knights Errant. So not opting to go for the very typical Knights of the Realm, probably because the Pegasus Knights pretty much cover his anti-large kit. Very, very solid army as far as his caster goes. Who is his caster? Does he not have one? No, he does. He has a life caster there in the back, which is, again, very standard. Now for Zeblasky's forces, he's got a couple of groups of the Glade Riders with Hagbane Tips, which will be pretty good at kiting the Pegasus Knights. He does have the Wild Hunters of Kurnus, Eternal Guard, and here on the far side, he does have... Oh my god, look at this! What is this? This is madness! No, this is Wood Elves. So he's got 2 Forest Dragons. One of them is a Glade Lord. He's got Hawk Riders. Oh my god. The Bretonnians are somewhat prepared for this. I mean, triple Pegasus Knights can do very well against an Air Force like this, especially with Lewin. I mean, honestly, the Bretonnian Air Force, if they just fought fisticuffs, the Bretonnian Air Force would win this. Granted, the Wood Elves do, of course, have some Glade Riders and other troops here on the ground that can run interference and shoot things, but I feel like the Bretonnians do actually have the tool to defeat this Air Force, but they're just going to have to weather this skirmishing storm. That is going to be one of the bigger issues for them. Making sure they don't lose these guys, while also, avoiding alpha strikes and sniping attempts here from Zeblasky. So Peasant Archers here are going to be a pretty useful tool. Of course, the Hawk Riders have some ammunition. Peasant Archers unleashing a nice little volley right there, doing some okay damage against the Glade Riders. Another group shooting back here as well, and it looks like the Hawk Riders from Zeblasky are going to be eating those volleys to the face, but not too much damage going through. Oh my goodness, this is going to be an absolute circus here. Absolute circus. Peasant Archer shooting in once again, so it seems like Chosen One was somewhat privy to the fact that Zeblasky perhaps likes to use these Air Forces and brought an ample counter. Now, if the Pegasus Knights overchase though, if they try and chase here, they can get caught with the Pravenoth Rhema. Oh, looks like there's an Earthblood going down over here. But Pravenoth Rhema could catch these Bretonnians off guard, and then from there, basically, they can get isolated and picked apart. That's something you have to be very careful about. But Lewin's going in deep. He does, of course, have self-healing, so you can be very, very, cautious with that. Knights Errant might go in for a charge, and honestly, I mean, if Zeblasky or Chosen One wants to, he can send in all the Knights Errant just one-on-one for the Glade Riders, and then just attack the Air Force, because during the time the Glade Riders are being chased, the Air Force battle could be won by Bretonnia. Hawk Riders have 110 speed, Pegasus Knights have, when they're not poisoned, 105. But basically, he just needs to make sure he doesn't lose the Pegasus Knights, because if he does, if he loses them, then he'll lose the Air Force fight. So Earthblood going down is able to heal those guys up. Lewin basically just kind of poking and prodding. And, I mean, he is wasting ammunition from the Wood Elves and isn't taking too much damage in return. So far, this Bretonnian army is in pretty good shape. You can see the Cav are going to be falling back right here. And he is back. There you go. And now the forces of the Empire, Bretonnia. The Bretonnian Empire, they surge forward. Glade Riders probably going to be focusing down the Peasant Archers. They're one of the few things that can keep the Wood Elf Air Force honest. So you can see here, I mean, look at that. Awakening of the Wood, really nice cast right there. Able to get some good damage, also slows them. And then the Peasant Archers are really tearing into those guys. So honestly, the trading's been pretty good here for the Bretonnian Archers, I would say. Glade Riders here being forced back. And the Pegasus Knight Air Force thinking about going in. Lewin just basically eating these shots like a champ. And like I said, he does have self-healing, so he can be very, very kind of... aggressive here and not worry too much. Obviously, he needs to be careful because Praevenoth Rama could go down and all the Hawk Riders and the Dragons could swarm him, but I think the Pegasus Knights would be more than ready to kind of countercharge that situation. So here, Archers for the Bretonnians are scooting forward. Glade Riders are going to be getting on the flanks here, probably just taking pot shots wherever they can. And this Dragon might actually go in, maybe thinking about it, probably looking to get a breath attack right there. And here it comes! And the Hawk Riders, or excuse me, the Pegasus Knights do dodge that pretty well, so the breath attack not going to be terribly impactful. So one group of Peasant Archers is forced back. It's not a terribly expensive unit, and honestly, the Peasant Archers, I would say, have done very well so far. They've forced out Earthbloods, they've forced back the Wood Elves a little bit. I mean, there's been many things that have been quite effective. And now it looks like Lewin's going in hard. He pops the Lion Shield, which does give him some pretty fat missile resistance. It not only gives him missile resist, but also magic resist. So the magic missile attacks from the Glade Riders are going to be doing almost no damage to him. So Lion Shield, pretty good usage right there, but not super brutal damage. It's really good too because it does also give you the magic, like I said, and Forest Dragons do magic damage. So in a big fight against the Dragons, it can also reduce the damage by almost half. So the Bretonnians have almost forced the Wood Elves back. There are the Wild Hunters of Kurnus here in the wings kind of waiting, and currently the Bretonnians are not aware of their presence. Also, we have some spears here, the Eternal Guard here, and it looks like the Spellsinger of Life is over here. So as far as Zeblasky's ammunition goes, he's pretty good here. He does have about 50 or 60% on these Glade Riders, so probably pretty good ammunition stores. And the Pegasus Knights haven't really taken too much damage. The only things that have really taken a lot of damage are the Peasant Archers, and it's not even that bad. So here come the Hawk Riders. Looks like, oh, are they going in for a fight? It looks like they are going after King Lewin, and here comes the Pegasus Knight countercharge. So Lewin is going to get attacked here. Praevenoth Rama going down. And, I mean, he blows a fair amount of cooldowns, but he also baits out some cooldowns here from the Bretonnians. The Scroll of Shielding. He also baits out the Sword of Couronne. So Praevenoth Rama basically traded for a couple abilities here on King Lewin. I would say a little bit better for the Wood Elves, simply because you got the Scroll of Shielding, which, of course, is very, very important. Peasant Archer shooting up in the sky, going after the Hawk Riders, and the troops on the ground just kind of hanging out. The Grail piece will, of course, make them immune to psychology in case the Dragon decides to land. Awakening of the Wood going down here does do a little bit of damage there, and not too much. A little bit of a slow effect going down, but peasant mobs, of course, are massacred, which is always fun for the Bretonnians. And now Lewin thinking about going in once again. He is, of course, still healing in pretty good shape. Nowhere near his healing cap quite yet. Breath attack from the Dragon does go down, taking out some of the Peasant Archers right here. And so far, the Wood Elves just being very cautious, of course, knowing that the Bretonnian Rush can be very punishing against like Way Watchers and that style of play. He's just basically trying to pick apart this army and get rid of all the ranged tools. But the Pegasus Air Force eventually will come in, and it's going to be quite nasty. Something else they could do is they could take the fight with the Pegasus Air Force on top of the forest area, and then a lot of the Glade Riders and other troops like that are going to have some penalties for like shooting through the trees and things like that, and it won't necessarily be fun. But what I like about the Bretonnian play is that Chosen One is slowly kind of boxing him back towards the edge of the map, and really he has a pretty good surround. Like he almost has the whole battlefield covered. There is a bit of an opening here, but he's got Cav out here, he's got Pegasus Knights. So if you just kind of look at the macro situation of this battle, in many respects, the Wood Elves are being cornered, but again, they're still doing some really good harass, picking off Peasant Archers. Pretty much all the Peasant Archers are down for the count now. So Pegasus Knights, at this time, it's almost the time to strike. He's a little bit out of position with these ones, probably going to need to pull them in, but I think it's almost time to go for that push. I would just send in all the Bretonnian infantry, just one-on-one, give them each an attack order to go after Glade Riders, and then on that same note, follow up for an alpha strike using the Pegasus Knights and your Lords and all that good stuff. And honestly, it should go pretty well. We do have the Wild Hunters of Kurnus on the ground, which will beat Knights Errant pretty handily in combat. But it's only one of them. That's pretty much it. They can't be everywhere at once, and there's still a ton of Bretonnian spears on the ground, a lot of supporting elements, and the Wood Elves are being forced back once again. It's like they're being driven out of their natural habitat here by the Bretonnians. Well, not so much industrialization, but you guys get the picture. So Glade Riders coming forward, ammunition a little bit low. I mean, the Bretonnian player here, Chosen One, has done a really good job mitigating the incoming damage. He really hasn't taken too much. I mean, he's taken a little bit again on the Peasant Archers, but everything else in his army, the high-value targets, are all very healthy. And the Pegasus Knights are going to be one of the breadwinners here in this match, of course. So Peasant Archers coming back once again. These are very, very, very tenacious, hungry peasants. Looks like all three of them are actually back, which is a little bit unfortunate for the forces of the Wood Elves. And I'm wondering why, in some ways, Chosen One is being so careful with his Air Force here. I mean, it has paid off so far, but I feel like if he pushed with everything after the Glade Riders, like just sent infantry after them and then swarmed with his Air Force here, he would be able to really do some damage. Oh, Breath Attack's taking out a couple Pegasus Knights right there. Really, really nice one. And it looks like the Wood Elves might be coming in for a fight here. They're really charging in with Hawk Riders, and now the Bretonnians need to fight back. Looks like Praevenoth Rayma going down, locking down King Lewin here, and might as well fight with the Pegasus Knights. So Pegasus Knights charging in, and here's the fight in the sky. I would imagine an Earthblood's going to be coming down. Looks like Lion Shield is active, and man, those Pegasus Knights are shrekking those Hawk Riders. Brutal damage. You can see one group of Hawk Riders pretty much 100% done for. That was a really good Praevenoth Rayma, but now Lewin is free, and you can see one group of Hawk Riders get shattered. Nice little breath attack downtown, doesn't hit too many targets, and for the most part, Lewin, if Chosen One is aware, is back now, so he needs to give him an attack order and make sure he's actually chasing something. Pegasus Knights here chasing off those Hawk Riders. The other Hawk Riders probably going to be paying the Troll Toll, but no, he's going for the Dragons. So the Dragons at this point probably won't be able to get away. I think that the Bretonnian Lord and all the Pegasus Knights will probably win this fight eventually, especially with Lewin kind of helping here, but so far the Dragons haven't really taken too much damage. And it looks like there's Earthbloods and healing going in for both factions. Hawk Riders are going to be charging into combat. They do have good AP values. And one group of Peg Knights is actually terrified off, which is pretty surprising. I always thought they should be like immune to psychology. I mean, they're literally flying on Pegasus Knights here. But anyways, Lewin's still fighting. One of the Dragons getting a little bit beat up. Pegasus Knights, of course, are just temporarily terror routed. So from here, Chosen One should be able to get those guys back in and get the optimal engagements. The Bretonnian Cav are charging down. The Glade Riders are kind of being cornered in pretty much every respect. You can see here the Glade Riders are pushed off the map. These ones are in relatively dire straits as well. The Wild Hunters of Kurnus are just being swarmed by sheer numbers. So the Wood Elves pretty much on the ground. It's a bit of a disaster for those guys. Now up in the sky, Lewin still doing his thing. He's fighting two dragons. And yeah, I'm surprised. The Pegasus Knights actually took a bit of a beating there. So I think Lewin probably is going to be disengaging from this battle here. Just trying to pull back. Pegasus Knights are coming back in, but the Dragons seem to be really, really durable. I mean, Peg Knights don't have the best AP, but nor do Wood Elf Dragons have good armor. I mean, they only have like 50 armor. So anyways, Lewin's coming back in with his Pegasus Knights. Bit of a second wind here from these lads. Getting some decent shock damage on the Dragons. On the ground, of course, Bretonnians are basically just routing off the Wood Elf forces. You can see the Glade Riders are pretty much running for their lives here. Hawk Riders coming back into battle. One Dragon starting to get a little bit low. Lewin, of course, is a monster of a combatant, much better than a Glade Lord on a Dragon. And the Dragon here is starting to get really beat up. I would imagine there's going to be some healing coming back in. Pegasus Knights do pull back, probably preparing to countercharge the Hawk Riders. Also some Glade Riders here on the ground, but up on the sky, Lewin and company are doing very, very well for himself. Lion Shield, of course, gives him that 44% save against the magic attacks from the Dragons, which is an insanely good value play there. And here you can see the Damsel is doing battle with the Spellsinger of Life. The Wild Hunters of Kurnus down to 18 models, really being forced back, and the Glade Riders with the Hagbane's Hips are pretty much all but done on the edge of the map. Lewin's still going fisticuffs here. Hawk Riders coming back in. The thing about Lewin, though, is he's now kind of alone up in the sky. He has a couple Pegasus Knights still helping, but they're just very, very beat up. There's also a group in the distance of 5 of them who could come back and help, but Lewin's in a 3v1. I mean, if he does lose this, yeah, the Dragons are starting to get the upper hand here. Lewin taking a lot of damage. Bretonnia needs to fall back. He needs to get away with Lewin. Is he going to be able to? There are some peasant shots coming in, but oh, nice Praevenoth Rayma. And it looks like the King of Bretonnia is probably going to be falling in this tree line here. And down he goes, defeated by the Double Dragon. But man, he put up a great fight. But really well played by Zeblasky. His nets have been really, really good this game, isolating those characters and whatnot. Now on the ground, the Bretonnians, of course, have done pretty well for themselves. Like I said, there still are some Eternal Guard fighting. You have Glade Riders here, a little bit of ammunition left on the Dragons and Hawk Riders. So Zeblasky still has plenty of skirmishing left. But Bounce Power is still in the favor of Bretonnia, especially this is a huge play. The Bretonnia Knights here plus the Damsel were able to actually catch the Spellsinger of Life and push it off, which means those Dragons are not going to be getting any more of that really, really juicy healing. Incredibly close. A lot of spears on the ground. The fact that there is a Grail piece here is going to be really nice for keeping those troops fighting against the terror of the Dragons. Having a little bit of water here, guys. Breath attack coming in from the Dragon, going to be really good against the blobbed forces here. Didn't get the best hit, though. I mean, it still took out probably like 10 Knights Errant, but it's not going to be enough to save this Spellsinger of Life, who is going to be getting pushed off the battlefield. Now, there's not too many missiles left for the forces of Bretonnia. Basically, he's just going to have to, endure. And what he should probably do is just march towards the missile pieces here for the Wood Elves through the tree line and basically just minimize the damage he's taking. Because Zeblasky does, of course, constantly have to be attacking. The Glade Lord, of course, is firing, and the Glade Lord probably is going to be trying to snipe out the Damsel of Life. That's probably the best bet, getting rid of the character and some of the leadership here. He could go after the Grail piece as well to try and get terror outs in the late game, because without this Grail, a lot of the Bretonnian units here, the spearmen and whatnot, will break very, very quickly to rear charges and things like that from Dragons. So if we look in the distance here, you can see the Elves have pushed off a couple of very beat up peasants with Pox arrows. A little bit of ammo left on these guys, so Zeblasky still has some skirmishing teeth for at least 2 volleys. He does have some Eternal Guard here, and also some Hawk Riders up in the sky who do, of course, have a little bit of ammo left. But not too much. It's going to be a pretty dicey battle here. Very, very cheeky indeed. You can see Earthblood going down. Good to be healing up all those cav units, which is really nice. It actually puts the bounce power up quite substantially here for the Bretonians. If that dragon does land and make a mistake here, he could be surrounded by the cav units. He has a little bit of ammo, like I said, just shooting like directly down on the Spellsinger and getting good damage. And now it looks like he's out of ammo. So the dragon's out of ammo. Both forces are advancing. The Bretonians are going to be marching very, very slowly towards whatever they can see, basically. But pretty much at this point, it's just going to be weathering the storm and just kind of enduring. And Zeblasky, I would imagine, is just going to be shooting his Glade Riders with Hagman tips until they run out of ammo. Up in the sky, Hawk Riders have 11 shots left as well, and those shots, I would imagine, are probably going to be going into the Damsel. He just needs to finish off the healing and get rid of the leadership. Damsels are, it's still a heroic character, even though she's not great in combat. It's still much more powerful than any of these like men-at-arms and different troops like that. So she has, 285 and a 34 melee attack, a charge bonus of 35. So yeah, I mean, like that, for example, could actually put some hurt on one of these dragons if she's able to get that rear charge. Bretonnian's marching towards the Eternal Guard here, just looking to get in combat and crump those ground forces. Because again, if he kills all the ground forces and pretty much all that's left of the dragons will have to land and stay in combat if that's all that he has left, basically. And it looks like the Hawk Rider is still just shooting into the back of the Damsel, but she is wisely kind of hiding in the tree line here. The Glade Riders as well using the last of their shots, and they're now out of ammo as well. It looks like it says 0 volleys, but I think they actually might have just kind of a morsel of ammunition left. Peasant mobs coming in as well. Spearmen, of course, are falling back. The Wood Elves want to use all their ammo before they engage here. And Hawk Rider is still trying to snipe here. And here we have the Glade Riders doing their thing. Might actually cycle charge in the flanks. And what Zeblasky could do is he could get his dragons and then charge into the Chosen One, into the Chosen One's men-at-arms here, and just kind of run back through here. But it's a little bit risky. The cav units, of course, even though they are Knights Errant, they still have a good charge bonus of 54. So they can do some decent damage against lightly armored dragons and things like that. So ammunition still being shot. Hawk Riders are attacking here. There's 3 volleys left from those guys. And the Glade Riders, of course, are doing their thing. We will, of course, let them know that once he's out of ammo, he will have to attack with something. But what Zeblasky will do is he'll just send in the Eternal Guard and basically just, cycle charge with the other units until the Eternal Guard are gone and the Glade Riders are gone. And at that point, he'll go from there. Balance Power is still Bretonnian favored. And it looks like the Damsel has been picked off here. It looks like 2 volleys left on these Hawk Riders. And yeah, now the Damsel is pretty much done for. Because, I mean, some of the Knights could try and protect it, I guess. Here in the front, we do have fighting. Eternal Guard are engaging here against the peasant mobs in the tree line. And you can see a horde of unwashed bodies descending upon these guys. Let's see if any of the Eternal Guard go down to the pitchforks and rakes. So it looks like a couple of them do actually take some hits. But at this point, the Bretonnian cav are probably going to get a full surround on the Eternal Guard and then just like hammer into him. Oh, the dragon's coming in as well. Here it comes. So the dragon does attack the Knights Errant. And here comes the charge. So the Bretonnian Knights are going to be piling in and attacking the Glade Lord. And it looks like some Spearmen at Arms and other troops are coming in as well. In the distance, the Glade Riders with Hagbane tips are chasing off the Damsel of Life. And the dragon is able to just absolutely wreck those cav units. Man, Knights Errant just buckled under pressure. I guess that's why they're the aspiring knights, right? They're not the big legendary Knights of Bretonnia. The dragon takes pretty much minimal damage. There's no more healing, though, so anything he does take is permanent. And now the Wood Elves are going to have to come in and fight against a horde of spears. And the Eternal Guard here are steady. They're now shaken. Looks like some Hawk Riders coming back here and finishing off the Knights Errant. Really good pick so far. Oh, brutal breath attack into the mass of the Bretonnian army. I don't know how many breath attacks he has left. The Eternal Guard, of course, are still fighting pretty well. HP of the Glade Lord is down to 2,400. The other dragon has 32, though. That is a lot of HP, but the only thing that's going for the Bretonnians here is the fact that they do, of course, have the Grail piece. It is going to keep them fighting like for a long, unnatural amount of time. I guess seeing the skeleton of a knight who was probably defeated in combat. I don't know why that would motivate them, but it does. Or maybe he just died of old age and then they just put him in armor. That makes more sense. Dragons just kind of tearing into the formation. Eternal Guard are shaken. The peasants are surging in. As far as damage taken, you can see that the Knights Errant are being broken off, but the Spearmen at Arms are going to be a very, very tough cookie to break, especially with all the Grail support here, which does, of course, give a massive leadership boon. But more importantly, for this particular situation, it does give immunity to psychology, which means those guys are basically just going to fight to the bitter end. Hawk Riders pushing these guys off. I still think it's probably, I don't know, I can't really call this. The dragons are allowed to cycle charge as long as there's something fighting here on the ground. So like the Eternal Guard can fight, the Hagman Tip Cav, the Glade Riders can fight. That means that the dragons can pull back and cycle charge. But again, once those troops fall, if the Eternal Guard like break, for example, and the Glade Riders are not there, then they'll have to stay in combat. But I don't know. I think this is going to be enough for the Wood Elves to win it. I mean, they still have the Hawk Riders. And very methodical picking here. And here you can see the Eternal Guard still holding. Man, Wood Elf troops just have such good leadership. It is absolute lunacy. And here, the Men-at-Arms getting swarmed by all sorts of birds and creatures of nature. And it looks like that's probably going to be the game as the forces start to buckle under the pressure. So, man, 1-1, guys. We're going to game 3 between these two players. Just absolute fierce cockfights. And now it is time for the fate of this practice tournament. Let us go ahead and update that. Really well played. Zeblasky really looks like he was on the ropes. But you know what I think the issue was? I felt like those damn Pegasus Knights did not carry their weight. Like they didn't. Like I don't know what was going on with those guys, but it was some treason. All right. So game 3 is going to be the we'll do Oakenhammer. Well played. I knew yet I wanted to try. Your build was pretty much designed to counter mine. And Joseph one says yes. It was. Game 3, go, go. No, that's the team. Perfect. So now the players are going to do their picks and bans here. Next, we have Hadries against Subutai coming up next. Bilbo Baggis versus Baron Von Horn. And Stormrunner versus Jungleman. So Jungleman's coming in, showing no mercy. We'll see what kind of builds we get out of these fine gentlemen. That was some really epic Widow play. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, the Pegasus Knights really got dumpstered. I was surprised. I feel like on paper they should do good, but I don't know. They just kind of sucked. But it was, I mean, Chosen One played super well too. They both played a really good game. Thanks for joining today, guys. And also, I was reading my analytics and I found that a substantial portion of the people who watch my streams and videos are not subscribed to my channel. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. It helps out quite a bit. Means a lot. And now, guys, we're going back into business here with our next match. So Spirit of Gorg says, Turin played Speed Freaks back in the day when I was 14 years old. Your battle report reminded me of some simpler times, although I have no idea about the rules anymore. Well done. Hey, Spirit of Gorg, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. So now, same as usual tourney. Each. So Chosen One. I'm pretty sure it's, let me go ahead and get the tournament rules that we usually use. I gotta just pull this up here real quick, guys. Pulling it up. Alrighty. Cool. So for round 3, loser of round 2 bans 1, winner of round 2 bans 1. Yeah. Okay, that should be fine. Hopefully that'll answer the question for them. Thank you, Og, for taking care of that for me. Appreciate it. The Trebuchet wouldn't have been that good there. Would not have been that good. But, I mean, I guess you could just shoot at Hawk Riders, and every boulder that hits will take one out, probably. Yeah, I don't know. Imagine, yeah, Curse of the Midnight Wind would have been really nasty, for sure. I don't know, maybe better than Lore of Life there. So Chosen One bans Dark Elves. So now, basically, in Game 3, they both ban one, they both then basically pick. It's when it goes down to like a rubber match. Angela says, I was sent here once from a CA stream who gave a shout out at your awesome art for thumbnails. Man, that was a long time ago. Yeah, that was a long time ago, man. I remember that stream. I was super excited. Those were in the early days. Still here for the thumbnail art? Yeah, the thumbnail art's pretty great. This actually thumbnail piece was drawn by Lady Turin a long time ago, but we just decided to use it for the stream because it's hilarious. Are these tourneys something newish or seasonal? They're nonstop. I basically am just going, they go nonstop, yeah, basically. There's not too many breaks in between them, so. I host them, my son Herbert Walker does, Aerocrastic, Shetland Apache, Pippington, you know, all kinds of folks. Spartacus hosts them. They're constantly going. So Dark Elf fan. It looks like, still deciding. Davian Thule, I do notice you, man. I hope you're doing well. I won't. Don't you worry. Things are going good. Chosen One currently, you know, dropping a game there, but very, very close. It's 1-1. Yeah, the Mercenaries for Bretonnia, Gotrek and Felix help a lot. They're really, really good in some matchups. I wouldn't bring them against Wood Elves, but in general, they got some teeth. Yeah, I mean, Bretonnia, like, you know, they have their strengths to their cav. The Great Horned Rat, yeah, you're more than welcome to. My tournaments on my, for ECL, and aside from Faction Wars, all my tournaments are open completely. Like, anyone can join. You might get eliminated in the first round, but that's okay. I don't know why it says Reforged. On my screen, it says Total War Warhammer. You might just need to refresh it. I could even, like, snip a screenshot for you. It should say Total War Warhammer. Maybe I'll type it in once again. And boom. Should be updating right now in case it says that. So if you're not in the tournament Discord, we have a couple Discords. Italian Spartacus and I run a community Discord together. And then I have one separate that is just for tournament play. It's for people who want to play like multiplayer and things like that. So here's a link right now. So Tourney Discord, for anyone who's interested. It's a very fun place. A lot of newer players looking for games and seasoned tournament pros that you guys, of course, have seen in most of these events. And yeah, it's a good time. Okay, so here we go, guys. Zeblasky picks Vampirates and bans Empire. And now Chosen One is going to go High Elves. So we have High Elves against Vampire Coast. Zeblasky is actually a really good Coast player. He's inspired many, many cool builds, like the Queen Bess double Gunnery White Crab build. Like, I'm pretty sure he came up with that. So I'm very excited to see what he does here in this matchup, which I think is actually kind of tricky for the Vampire Coast. But we'll see how it goes. Welcome to the Discord, guys. I see some new folks joining. Good to see you. Remember, just, you know, treat everyone with respect and dignity and keep a calm head and enjoy yourself. Oh no, is the stream lagging? No, it should be fine. Huh. Should be back. It's dead, Jim. It's weird because I still see all the chat. I don't see any disruption on my end. Yeah. My stream was banned. Oh man, let me refresh it real quick. Huh. So I'm still in the lobby. See if we can get this going. An error occurred. An error occurred? Wow, I've never seen this happen before, actually. Let's see if we can get the stream back. Come on. Hold! I know. Well, I've never had issues with YouTube streams and whatnot. Let's check here. 1 sec, my friends. We might have to cut this into 2 videos, which would be rather unfortunate, but that's okay. Warp Storm. I mean, I could try restarting the stream. Let's give it another minute here. Oh, there we go. It says welcome back. Looks like it might be working. Grudges with YouTube, yeah, I know. I can still see all your chat. I don't know if anyone can still hear what I'm saying. Can you guys hear anything? Just refreshing. It says playback error. No video or audio. Okay.